If you're experiencing feeling a little bit lost or stuck in life, maybe there's a little bit of frustration, a lot of questions, and not very many answers, and this may be going on for you for quite a while. Exactly the situation you're in might just be exactly what you need to propel you to really where you want to go in life. Because the questions that arise and the emotions you're experiencing really give you the motivation and the fuel to look at things differently, explore things differently, try things you haven't done before, and really, honestly and truly look at yourself in a new way, from a place of openness, without judgment. It's very important. It's very natural and easy for ourselves to judge ourselves in particular. We can judge ourselves the way we may never judge anybody else, and be more cruel to ourselves than we would be to anybody else. But once we get to a place where we're moving past that judgment, and it may be that we need support or help in exploring in this new way, this is where something like transformational coaching comes in, or some form of counselling or therapy. But what can be so priceless and so invaluable is a space in which you are held in openness, non-judgment, in unconditional high regard, without fixing, without opinion, without trying to get somewhere else, but just to be with you and be held in that frustration, that sense of being lost and stuck, questioning without reaching for answers, maybe even exploring what the questions really are and what's underneath all that, what's underpinning where you are. Because oftentimes what we think our problems and dilemmas are can be quite surface level, and there'll be so much more underneath, so much unconscious. And for us to explore the unconscious and become aware of the unconscious, we need support with that. The very nature of what is unconscious, we cannot be aware of it on our own. So in a space where we are held, whether individually, one-to-one, or in a group, and it can be really invaluable in a group, because what we are going through, many of us go through, very typical, very human. Even though we feel alone in it, it's very much the human journey. And in speaking our experience, honestly, speaking our truth, that's really what we mean when I say speaking our truth, speaking honestly about what our experience is right now, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what our actions are based on all of that. And really exploring those sticky, icky, heavy feelings. Not negative, because that's a judgment on our feelings. Just the unpleasant, heavy feelings that we tend not to like experiencing. We suppress them. We distract ourselves from them. And in doing that, that just puts them to the side for a little while, until we're no longer distracted and they come back in again. So that's why it's so important to give these space, to feel them, express them, acknowledge them. And in doing that, we discover that there's a clarity. There's actually a gift in the clarity. And when we begin to see that all of these difficult experiences, these heavy, sticky feelings in whatever situation we're in, there is a gift in it somewhere for us. And it can be really challenging for us to see that when we're still in it. But once we get through it, get to the bottom of what's underpinning it all, the growth that can come from that, the lightness that can come from that is so liberating. It brings a new, rejuvenating sense of what's possible and a perspective that's far more open. We can see possibilities that we could not see before. It's as if veils have been lifted. And all of this is very much a human journey that we typically don't talk about in the discourse of day-to-day life, in our work, with our friends, with our family. It's not a typical conversation that we can have with just anyone that is without judgment, that is with openness, where there's no fixing or opinion, no trying to get anywhere, no trying to make you feel better, but just to be with you in it. Listening to a depth that is far more impactful than someone just trying to formulate a response and waiting for their space or their gap to come in and say their bit. And that's not to be judgmental on how people speak and how people are, because we're all trying to do our best, and people genuinely want to help and want the best for us. But this is the type of conversation that we're not taught, we're not used to, but actually is so innate in all of us once we have awareness of it. And we know the power and the impact of simply sitting with someone, being, letting them cry, letting them speak their truth, say what they're experiencing, even sit with them not saying anything. The impact of that alone, for someone to really feel seen, heard, felt by another, that is healing. That has the power to be transformational. And even just one occurrence of this can have a huge impact on someone's life. But for this to be a regular space in which we can engage can utterly and truly transform our lives and bring us to places that can be really surprising, oftentimes that we could have never seen or imagined. particularly when we're in the stuckness and in the pain. And this is truly when we recognize that the experiences that we have had, especially the difficult experiences, because we all go through them several times throughout our lives, there is a gift in each and every experience. But we must experience it. We can read this about this in books. We can hear about it in podcasts and videos. We must truly experience it for ourselves, to know it and to grow through it. And this leads us to far greater depths in ourselves, in life. A recognition to even just the possibility that there is far more at play in the world and in life than just ourselves and what we are doing. There's far more connectedness between us than we ever really give much consideration to in the busy day-to-day of life. And so to have this experience and bring this awareness into the day-to-day, this is how we truly transform and begin to feel the empowerment of creating the life that we truly want. And to maybe take that a step further, the openness to tune into what is asked of us, what is being asked of us in life. What is life asking of me right now? After all of my experience, after all I have learned, all of the gifts that I recognize, what is life asking of me right now? That is for the highest, greatest good for all, or maybe just for one. So this can be a beautiful way to begin each day. If there's a morning practice, if there's a meditation, if there's a prayer, maybe you write. Maybe it's just waiting for the kettle to boil in the morning. Just take a couple of breaths intentionally. In through the nose, all the way down into the belly. Holding that question in mind or in your heart. What is life asking of me today? What is life asking me in which I can share my gifts? Or perhaps I can discover new ones that can be of help to others, or maybe just one other, or perhaps even just for myself. If you're still with me in this video and what I've spoken has resonated with you, if you feel called to, we can carry on the discussion and explore further, whether it's just a connection call, just an email. I do one-to-one sessions and group sessions, and we can explore what we can do together that is for our highest, greatest good. Thank you for watching. And I invite you to keep in mind, keep in your heart that question. What is life asking of me today?